Okay, so the production process. We talked a lot about crew, but how do the crew fit into this production process? And there's three stages of production. There's pre-production, production, and post-production. I've put some links onto this resource pack, which should, give you a little bit of further information about that. They're fairly simple, and the production process is as it sounds, but in each process there's a lot to take in. And pre-production, the stage which we're all at now, whether we've thought of an idea, we've got a script, or even just a few words on the back of an envelope, this is part of our pre-production stage. And the pre-production stage is by far the largest and most complex stage. In pre-production, we need to make sure we've got an idea, assess the idea, work with a script, go through and find the cast, find the characters, find the locations, assess the locations, health and safety issues, do we need any special effects, we need to figure out when we're going to shoot, how we're going to shoot, what the weather's like when we're going to shoot, can we get the equipment for the shoot. So all this needs to come together in terms of money, time, availability. Your equipment might be available, but your actors might not be available. You need to do all this. Additionally, have a backup plan. What about if actors don't turn up? What about if it rains? What about if the roof falls through on one of your locations? What can you do? So if you've got a shot which you say, well, we can only shoot it because we want this light, and that light only exists for 10 minutes a day, do you try it once or do you try it 3 times? Again, you need to be planning ahead to make sure you've got enough coverage to make sure you're covered in the edit and you're not having to cut large parts of your film out because A, they don't fit in terms of continuity, or B, the quality of those shots isn't good enough. Again, the quality will come through at the pre-production stage. So it's this stage now where you want to be planning ahead. So even now, in terms of this stage, if you've not got a script, you still need to think about what your idea is, how you would take that idea forward, and in terms of your crew roles, start working individually and as a team to build this film. So if you're the producer, think about what you need to get organised, where you're going to find cast, where you're going to find extra crew. Do you need to book equipment? What week are you going to shoot in? What your location's going to be? If you're the director, how is the film going to look? If you decide the film is really stark and bleak, you might need a lot of lights to make sure this kind of looks kind of burnt out or washed out in terms of colour. Or is it the opposite? Or do you want to try, a few different fancy shots in terms of crane shots or dolly shots where you're going to get this equipment. So all this information, as the director, your vision needs to be passed on to the producer so they can start arranging these things, but also delegating tasks with the crew members. So the editor, even though the job seems like it's after the film is finished, you need to start planning now in terms of how will the sound be, in terms of how is it recorded, how is it mixed, how will the music work. Also collaborating with the director in terms of the look and the style of the film, and figuring out whether certain shots will cut together or not. The director might have this vision, might be this bizarre, crazy vision, which doesn't fit, it doesn't piece together in the edit. What are you going to do at that point? So this is a point when you need to step in to start assessing the material, in terms of that intellectual material that the director has, and understanding and figure out whether it's going to work. And again, we're all amateurs at this, so the editor in this case needs to start getting material and piecing it together now in preparation for the film, or even researching and gathering material to give to the director now, to try and interpret their vision for on set. Again, the camera operator, lighting design, stroke cinematographer, again, think about whether, what kind of angles you're going to be using, what kind of lens you're going to be using, how many lights you're going to need, what the locations you're working at, how will these be lit, do you need extra electricity or power sources. And then in terms of sound, again, similar, going to the locations, assessing locations, thinking if you need any special effects in terms of sound, will you be able to get a good sound there, or you need to dub it or mix it after, Will you be able to record sync sound? So again, at this stage now, you shouldn't be sitting around not doing anything. You should be planning for your film. The longer you leave it, the worse your film will be. The earlier you plan, the more quality your film will become. So again, this is a pre-production stage. And it's also a very exhaustive list. And if you look at the worksheet which I've provided for this week, it has pages and pages and pages and pages of roles. And what I expect you to do with that worksheet is to mark down on there, who's going to take over what roles are needed for your film, and also at the top of each production process, whether it's pre-production, production, or post-production, write how many weeks that might take. We've only got 8 weeks left of the course, so pre-production might well be, as I've already said, 5 weeks, production might be 1 week, and then post-production might be 2 weeks. Once you look at the worksheet, you'll realise how big this task will be. Okay then, so that's the pre-production process. Again, as I said, this is a 3-part process in terms of the production process on set and the post-production process. So in the production process, this is the time when you're on set, and what I'd advise is now thinking about a week where you will go out and make your film. So this is a time now to start booking equipment and thinking what equipment you will need. So when it comes to organising locations, when it comes to organising cast, when it comes to organising crew, you can give them a specific date and plan forward for this. Again, I try and make this date perhaps 5 or 6 weeks from today, from the time when you see this film, and then leave yourself 2 weeks where the editor is working hard, long days, constructing the film and getting it together. Again, that takes us to the end of the process. So we've quickly covered in 1 week the production process and all the tasks which are involved in that process, and then the post-production process. But the process continues in terms of the marketing and the distribution of your film. How are you going to promote and sell your film? Are you going to sell it or send it to short film festivals? What short film festivals you're going to choose? You're going to make a poster. Again, the production process can continue on and on, even to the point where you feel you might need to re-edit your film to get into certain markets or to certain distributors. Again, so the work really needs to start now. So think about the flow of your production process through pre-production to production to post-production, but also in terms of your crew and who will work on each stage of this production.